All right, we got a lot that's happened. Busy show to get to you. The new captain, 2 preseason games, one by the B squad here in North America, another by the A squad over in Europe. All ahead here on the Locked On Sabres podcast.
You're Locked On Sabres, your daily podcast on the Buffalo Sabres. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And thanks for making Locked On Sabres your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode of the show is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, use the code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your purchase. Sneaky Joe DiBiase coming to you on a Friday show where we've got a bunch to get to. We've got the announcement of the new captaincy and some alternate captains to get to. We had a preseason game last night featuring a lot of the Sabres prospects and their AHL guys. And then we have the Sabres playing in Red Bull in Munich against Red Bull Munich on Friday afternoon. So all of that coming up today on today's show. If you want to reach out, if you want to get a comment or a question across to me and you want it read on the show, best way to do that, go to our text line. If you're not already a subscriber, the way to do that, hit joinsubtext.com/LockedOnSabres, and you can sign up and you can text us from there. So a lot to get to, as I mentioned on today's show. The Sabres are 1 week away from their regular season opener. They will be playing the Devils in Prague exactly 1 week from today, and then again next Saturday. So we are right there. We are really closing in on hockey season. I wonder how we're going to react to this, where the Sabres are in Europe, which means they start earlier than other teams. So they'll play Friday and Saturday, and then they'll be off until the next Thursday. So here we go, waiting all these months for the season to start, and we're finally going to get rolling, and then we're going to get a 5-day break. We'll see how those games go. Maybe we might want a 5-day break, right? We might want a little breathing room if those games don't go well. But if they do go well, we're going to want them to get right back at it. But obviously with the travel and them coming back, that's honestly probably going to be, I think Lindy even spoke to this, coming back will be their biggest challenge. I mean, they're over there. They're adjusted to the time zones at this point. They've been there for days. They played Red Bull Munich today. They'll take a train or a bus down or whatever to Prague, and they have 5 days to adjust here. Well, they have 7 days to adjust. Lindy and the team, I believe, are going to Oktoberfest tomorrow, so just hopefully they don't go too crazy at Oktoberfest. Maybe that's their biggest risk. But definitely the time zone coming back, and they'll open the season at home against LA on that Thursday, October 10th. So we're under 2 weeks away from the home opener as well. A lot to get to on the 2 games that we've seen in the last 24 hours on today's show. But we do have to start the show today with the big breaking news from Thursday afternoon that was not really that surprising, but was a little curious as to when they would do it. And just wanted to make sure, right? Because there was a little bit of a Lindy just wants to get in and make sure that they're going to choose the right captain. But nobody had any doubt. The way Rasmus Dahlin conducts himself, the way Rasmus Dahlin carries himself, the way he leads that team, the way he's become a little bit more vocal of a voice in that locker room, the way he wants to be great. He is somebody that really you see it, right? Like he shows his frustration out there on the ice when they're losing. He isn't quite the Instagram guy where he's always working out, but you've seen the work he's put in just on he's become a bone-crushing hit guy. He built himself up. He was really thin when he showed up in the NHL and would get pushed off pucks easier than he should have. And we saw the work. We know he put in the work because we see a massive difference in how strong he is on his skates at this point and how much more physical he is than when he came into the league. We see that he's worked on his shot. His shot stunk when he entered the NHL. Could not put any weight on his stick at all. Would fan on it all the time. To where now he gets a lot of weight on it. And 20 goals. I didn't think when he entered the league he'd get 20 goals. I think he might be a 70 assist guy, but I need to see him be able to shoot the puck harder. He's put the effort in because you see the difference. Dahlin's the right captain. He is named captain for the Buffalo Sabres. No dispute. He's their best player. He's their leader. He's their most complete player. I think he's someone that I would trust to hold players accountable. And I just don't know what you would have done instead. It's his team. It is Rasmus Dahlin's team, undoubtedly. And I do think this is completely earned on his front. And really, it does show how he's grown as a player, because I think, I've called him this before, I think he's one of the most complete defensemen in the NHL. There was a point where it wasn't going well. If you were to scroll way back in the feed of this show, there is an episode from the year 2020 called Constructing the Dahlin Fear Bunker. And it was essentially me getting into, and my former co-host Jordan Hanskin, like, man, this is bad. What do we do? He looks bad. Under Ralph Kruger, it was off the rails. Dahlin was getting walked on a nightly basis. He was not putting points up. He was not playing well in his own end. It was really going off the rails. And hey, little clap to Don Granato. Now, I'm sure a lot of coaches, not every coach would have got Tage Thompson to do what he's doing. Not every coach would have got Casey Middlestat. I bet there's a lot of coaches that could have got Dahlin to where he is now. But that doesn't take credit away from Granato. Granato started that process. Dahlin, though, deserves a lot of credit on his own shoulders. And I do think he's the appropriate choice here to be the Buffalo Sabres captain going forward. Now, we have to hope that Dahlin is not going to go in the same category as all the other captains of Buffalo Sabres history, because basically, if you're captain of the Sabres, you usually end up getting traded one way or another, right? Kyle Okposo, their last captain, got traded. Jack Eichel got traded. Steve Ott got traded. Thomas Vanek got traded. Ott and Vanek split for like half a season in 2014. Jason Pominville got traded. Craig Rivet, I think, got waived. I'm going to half count that. Brian this is the year Lindy rotated, right? So I'm not going to count that year. Danny Briere and Chris Drury left in free agency, pretty controversially. Before that, Stu Barnes. I actually don't know about Stu Barnes. I know he did not finish his career with the Sabres. Yeah, there you go. Mid-season, 2003, got traded. Stu Barnes. Michael Pekka got into a contract dispute with the team. Sat out a season. Then got traded. Pat LaFontaine, that was concussions. But he did go to another team because a doctor there would clear him and a doctor here would not. So did that end in turmoil? I don't know if you'd say that about LaFontaine. It's not as bad as some of the other ones. Who else here? I'm going way back now to the point where I'm not going to be able to remember these off the top of my head. If I get back to Perreault in 1987, he just retired. So, all right. I go way back to Gilbert Perreault. Not a great track record. And this is a thing about the Sabres. Their great players often end up leaving in bad circumstances. So I'm not even bracing for it. It's more of a half-kidding, snarky type of thing. Like, oh, your captains never end well with you. Dahlin is young. Dahlin is definitely he's under contract for a long time. I think he has the right attitude about wanting to be a Buffalo Sabre for right now. If 4 years go by and they haven't made the playoffs still, 5 years go by and they haven't made the playoffs, okay, then it's probably a thing. But come on, this drought's not getting to 18 years. So I think Dahlin's going to be a Sabre for a long time. And I really do think, I'm going to look at the optimistic end of things here. Because the Sabres have such a poor history with their captaincy, like, they have not had a captain make it to the fourth year as the captain since Pat LaFontaine. The last time a captain made it to year 4 as the captain was LaFontaine. I mean, come on, man. That's a long time. I think Dahlin's going to make it to year 4 pretty easily. The alternate captains named by the Buffalo Sabres, this will kind of be their leadership group. The A's will be a rotation. No one loves a captaincy rotation more than Lindy Ruff. Tage Thompson, Dylan Cousins, Alex Tuck, and then Matthias Samuelsson. Not like a stunner. I just wouldn't have guessed Samuelsson would have been a part of that, but he gets in there. So 4 other Sabres are going to be wearing the A on a rotational basis going forward this year. When we come back, let's get to what happened in Munich. The Sabres dominant over a DEL team, a German hockey team. I'll tell you why, though, that wasn't automatic. Like, you don't have to give them a ton of credit, but you should give them at least just a smidge of how they played, because they looked awesome on a cool night in a cool atmosphere and brand new arena. We'll get to that game when we come back here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. We are presented here on the show by Gametime. Gametime has a new feature called Gametime Picks. That makes getting tickets for your favorite live events even easier. Gametime Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets. Gametime Picks makes it easier to save money on sports, concerts, comedy, theater, and plenty more. The seat views is my favorite feature because you get a panoramic view of your seat in the app before you buy, so you know exactly what you're going to be walking into. They have a lowest price guarantee. If you find a price that's lower, Gametime is going to credit you 110% of the difference. Gametime ticket coverage, your purchase is covered with the most flexible customer service policy in the ticketing industry. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LOCKEDONNHL for $20 off. Download Gametime today. What time is it? It's Gametime. This episode of the Locked On Sabres podcast also brought to you by FanDuel Sportsbook. You got a week left. Go check out those before they start changing. Go check out those Buffalo Sabres futures. Over under 88.5 points. Long shot to win the division. Maybe that's what floats your boat. You can check out some player props. Maybe you want to bet a Sabre to win a major award. Check it out all on the FanDuel Sportsbook app. And of course, it's football season. And hey, NFL fans, you could start this season with a big return on FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. So when you get a hunch in the middle of a game, right, live betting, you can check out the latest stats while you're looking at the odds, view some live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. You'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Check it all out at FanDuel Sportsbook at FanDuel.com. Welcome back, Locked On Sabres podcast with Joe DiBiase, 1 week away from the Buffalo Sabres regular season. By the way, you can check us out on YouTube. If you haven't noticed, I've been in the black and red mood more lately. We've had the nice black and red surrounding here on the show. Might as well. A lot of red and black coming your way this season. Josh Allen, by the way, I forgot to mention this with the Rasmus Dahlin news. Cool job by the Sabres getting Josh Allen to narrate the video announcing Dahlin as the captain. The Sabres then tweeted out a picture of Dahlin thanking him for the video. I'll put it up on our YouTube channel right now. If you have not seen the sweatshirt that Josh Allen was wearing, I think everybody, especially in my age demographic, is going to really want. He's got like a black and red. It's more of actually, it's red on the top shoulder, a gray stripe with like a big gray stripe with Buffalo Sabres across, and then a red sleeves that go kind of turn to black at the end. I don't know, really sharp black and red sweater that they gave Josh to do this thing. By the way, oh, wow, look at this. I'm just noticing this now for the first time live on the show. I have to tweet this out. Josh Allen, who's been dealing with a finger injury as of late, we got to look at that wrap there. I don't know if have we got to look at that wrap in the press conferences? Do they want people seeing that? I don't know. But you see in this picture here, Allen in the black and red Sabre sweater, and he's clearly got his left hand taped up a little bit, or he's got a wrap of some sort on there. Anyway, just maybe a little notable. Maybe other people noticed it anyway. Anyways, let's get back to the Sabres. Sabres are 1 week away from the season, and they did have their final, let me say it this way. Again, confusing type of preseason for the Buffalo Sabres. Their NHL squad had their final preseason / exhibition game today against Red Bull Munich. DEL team. That's the German ice hockey league. The top team there for a bunch of different seasons. They are a team that just got a brand new arena. The Sabres playing in the inaugural event at SAP Garden, the new arena in Munich. That is the host arena for Red Bull Munich, and the arena is awesome. Like seeing all the pictures and the videos, and even watching the game with it. Oh my God. I mean, spectacular. I mean, the effects in the arena every time they go to break, the way the lighting like kind of gets darker, but it's like almost this black lighting on the ice, and then it's like they call it a power timeout, power break, maybe. The boards are all digital, so you don't have to do the fake digital on TV. Like the boards are LED. That's cool. There's like a red ribbon along the ice, which I actually kind of like that they do in the German hockey league, I think. The lighting in the arena was great. Like it felt like an awesome atmosphere. And that's just the arena. The crowd is electric. I mean, those European sports fans, man, like the creativity with the songs and the constant energy. I mean, they're down 5-0 in this game and they're still singing and they're having a good time. So just European sports, man, sometimes it just hits a little bit different. And you saw some of that vibe in this game that the Sabres dominated from beginning to end. Any question, and I'll defend. Listen, I made jokes kind of about like, don't lose to this hockey team. Don't lose. Don't be the butt of the joke again. The Sabres don't need more reasons to be the butt of the joke. They have plenty already. And I did get a couple people reaching out like, there's 0% chance they're losing this hockey game. It's not zero. I look back before this game. 5 times a European team has beat an NHL team in an exhibition game overseas. It's about 15% of the time. It happens once in a while. EV Zug, a Swiss team, beat the Rangers 8-4 a couple of years ago. Like, it does happen once in a while. So just glad the Sabres didn't join that list. They got a 5-0 win. They outshot them 40-16. Beginning to end, they were the better team. And they looked like a team that plays in a higher league. They absolutely looked the part. And there was a bigger ice surface. I thought the Sabres looked like they enjoyed that a lot, especially guys like Tage Thompson. Thompson was flying in this game. He was using that space. And Lindy made a point before the game, and I think he got it through, that he didn't want them hanging out on the outskirts of the ice because there's more room. Lindy's been trying to ingrain in this team, hey, get to the dirty areas, get to the middle of the ice, get to the front of the net, and that's where we're going to win. And in this game, it might be even harder to go to the middle because there's so much space out there playing on that. It's like a hybrid ice. It wasn't NHL ice or Olympic ice. It was like somewhere in between. And like Thompson, I mentioned, like, I think Thompson was using all that open space, but what's the goal he scored? He's going to the net and he deflects a wrist shot from the point in the slot. Like, he's going to the front of the net, and that's how he scores his goal, is on a deflection. So I do think the Sabres played that style. They looked great. I thought Jack Quinn had an amazing goal where he out-skated the defenseman and then kind of pulled back, as he tends to do on his wrist shots, and ripped it over the goaltender's blocker. Dahlin looked a little rusty. I'm even using Lindy's words on that. That's how Lindy described his game. He looked a little rusty, but he thought he needed it ahead of the regular season, so that's good. And then the other name, Luukkonen and Levi split the game in half. Really, there's no takeaway for me on how they played because they didn't really get tested all that much. They did fine stopping their 16 shots. The thing that's noteworthy about that is if there was any more doubt that James Reimer might be their number 2 goaltender, I think it more so ended today because they wanted to split. Who were the 2 guys they wanted to get work? Luukkonen and Levi. Those are the 2 guys they wanted to get work. So I think Levi's the backup goaltender. The other name that to point out here, and the night was all about him, was JJ Peterka, as it should have been. Hometown from Munich. He had over 40 friends and family in attendance in that stadium or in that arena. He played for that team for multiple seasons, grew up a fan of that team. He, after the game, they do like the whole, like the player like raises his arms up in the air to get the crowd doing their chant. He did that with the crowd after. That was really cool. The Sabres posted a video of Peterka doing that. And it looked like he got mad at one point because Peterka wanted to play well, wanted to score a goal in that game. And in the second period, he had the whole net and he missed it. He shot it back across the post along the ice between the goalie and the post and into the corner. And immediately rose his head to the ceiling like, I can't believe I just missed that and might have just blew my moment to score a goal in front of my hometown for the first time being back. But he did get another chance at it. He did, in the third period, bury a puck to get the 5th goal of the game for the Sabres. It was a little bit of a turnover play. Tuck it as he does. Alex Tuck, right back at it. I'm going right back in with my take. I did it last year. Alex Tuck's the best forechecker in the National Hockey League. He is all over this guy. He forces the turnover. Tage Thompson picks it up, gets it to Peterka, who's all alone in the faceoff circle, and he rips it past the goalie to get that goal. So awesome moment for Peterka, gets the goal, and certainly seemed to enjoy the trip and the night. And now he will take his teammates to Oktoberfest. So I mentioned Quinn got a goal in this game. Peterka got a goal in this game. Cousins, Thompson, and Sam Lafferty had a little of a lucky goal, went off a skate in the first period. Zach Benson, the Cousins goal on the power play, great pass sequence. Power entering the zone, gets it to Zach Benson, and Zach Benson right on the tape, perfect pass across to Dylan Cousins. Benson's playing in the top 6 role. He's looked good doing it. And another moment here where he sets up his line mate Dylan Cousins for a power play goal, and he will absolutely be continuing to play on that second line, I think, for at least the start of the season. When we come back, I want to update you on the B squad and what happened to them in Ottawa on Thursday night, because I was stunned. Ottawa had NHL players playing. Linus Ullmark started for them in goal. And the Sabres B squad kicked the living you-know-what out of them. We'll get to that when we come back here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. We are presented here on the show by Indeed. We're driven by the search for better, but when it comes to hiring, the best way to search for a candidate isn't to search at all. Don't search, match with Indeed. If you need to hire, you need Indeed. Indeed is your matching and hiring platform with over 350 million global monthly visitors, according to Indeed data, and a matching engine that helps you find quality candidates fast. Ditch the busy work. Use Indeed for everything, scheduling, screening, and messaging, so you can connect with candidates faster. And Indeed doesn't just help you hire faster. 93% of employers agree that Indeed delivers the highest quality matches compared to other job sites, according to a recent Indeed survey. Leveraging over 140 million qualifications and preferences every day, Indeed's matching engine is constantly learning from your preferences, so the more you use Indeed, the better it gets. And listeners of this show, we're going to get a $75 sponsored job credit to get your jobs more visibility at Indeed.com/locked on. Just go to Indeed.com/locked on right now. Support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on this podcast. Indeed.com/locked on. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Final segment here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. 1 week from the season, the Sabres do have 2 preseason games left. Columbus tomorrow, Saturday at Columbus at 7 o'clock, and then Monday home against Detroit at 7 o'clock as well. Last night in Ottawa, the Sabres played a Senators team that, listen, it wasn't mostly NHLers, but the Sabres, as we know, have no NHLers. In Ottawa had a few. Ottawa had Linus Ullmark start in goal. Ottawa had Shane Pinto was in the lineup. Nikolai Kulemin, who's making an NHL comeback, by the way. I don't know if I want to call him an NHLer. He was in the lineup last night. Who else? There was a couple of others. Gregor, Gaudette, Boucher, like that's kind of it. They're McEwen. Again, like kind of the depth Ottawa/AHL guys, but a couple of the guys higher at top. Pinto would have been the number 1 guy playing for them last night. And Ullmark, of course. Yakimchuk, another one. But the Sabres had none. And what happened in this game? The Buffalo Sabres, with their Rochester guys and prospects, went into Ottawa and throttled them when it came to the game itself. The score didn't necessarily go that way. It was close, 3-2 in overtime. The shot differential in this game, the shot attempt differential was even crazier. But I mentioned the Sabres beat Red Bull Munich, outshooting them 40-16 on Friday. On Thursday, the Sabres B squad outshot the Senators 41-16. That's how well they played. Interesting, by the way, Ottawa stat keepers, I don't know what they were doing last night. Sabres got credited for 2 hits and Ottawa 21. I watched the game. It wasn't that bad. I mean, Ottawa definitely out-hit them, but 21-2, I think they were maybe inflating it. But who's inflating preseason stats? Anyways, couple of names that I want to get to that we saw impress from the Sabres last night. One would be, again, Nikita Novikov. Led the Sabres in shots, by the way. Second. No, Jack Rathbone had 8. Novikov, though, had 5. 21 minutes, 22 seconds of ice time for Novikov. He was second on the team in even strength ice time, only behind Zach Metza. So another nice night for Novikov. Looks like a guy that could be a call-up during the regular season. Isak Rozan, after, I don't think, doing a lot in his first preseason game, first couple, 1 goal in this game. It was a nice goal. Played the most even strength ice time, I think. I got to check. 21:03. Okay, so Mason Jop's the one above him. 21:03, though. Rozan, second among forwards, played a lot of ice time in this game. His possession charts, like the Corsi in the game, was good for him as well. And the goal was nice. So Rozan, nice movement for him. And then the name to watch, or name to point out here and give a shout out to, one of the 2 names I was most looking forward to seeing on the Sabres B squad was Noah Ostlund. And he had a nice night. I thought he was popping a little bit more than he was the other night. And he made SportsCenter top 10 for his overtime goal. 3-on-3 overtime looked like his element. He is a smaller player at this point. He's still young. He's definitely someone's got to put on weight. So for now, 3-on-3 is his show. He's a really good skater. He's very smooth, and he's got awesome hands. And Ostlund, in overtime, coming in from kind of the left face-off, or not the left face, the left goal line, he's kind of along the net, and this is after he drives down, by the way. Like, he gets at the point, and then kind of drives the Ottawa defender down towards the goal line, shoots the puck with his body, and then as he's coming to the goal line, toe drag, and dekes the goalie out of his shorts and has the whole net to shoot at, or at least like 70% of it, and he backhands it in for an awesome goal. Ostlund ends up getting number 7 on SportsCenter top 10 plays. That's how nice it was. So cool moment for him, a sick goal. I would be hard pressed to see the Sabres score another more impressive goal than that the rest of the preseason. So nice moment for him, better game for him as well overall, and look forward to getting to see more of what he can do in Rochester coming up. Again, Sabres preseason continues on Saturday against Columbus. That's going to do it for us, though, today here on the Locked On Sabres podcast. We'll keep you updated on those 2 preseason games coming up for the Sabres, and it will be a game week next week for the Sabres, a regular season game week. Practices, we'll keep you updated if there's any changes to the lines, and we'll start trying to figure out and narrow down who's going to play opening night for the Buffalo Sabres on Friday against the New Jersey Devils in Proud. Talk to you next time here on the Locked On Sabres podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.